reminds me of a tiger, Tony the Tiger from the cereal box. And if you use your imagination, this one looks a little bit like Mr. Potato Head, right here, sideways. Now notice the black paint. This is supposed to be a nighttime painting, but he didn't want to have a black background because then you wouldn't notice the shapes. So what does he do? He drips black paint on his canvas, smudges it with an old rag. After that dried, then he started painting all of those shapes and lines and eyes and everything. We'll see a lot of that, but in a more colorful fashion in this next one. This time he dripped blue and red paint on the background, let it dry. You know, he dripped it first, smudged it with a rag, and then let it dry. He had a good time playing with his paint, let me tell you. He loved to paint the sun because the sun was also a symbol of the universe. The woman, planet Earth again. Now he gave that other woman 3 eyes. This one only had 1 giant eye. And there's the big red sun and some very, very simple stars. Once again, you look at this, and if we had the right brushes and the right paint colors, every single one of us could do this. This is not like painting, that very first painting we saw done by the Dutch master. If you asked me, could I paint that? I'd say, I don't think so. I'd have to take a few painting classes. But if you ask me, can you paint this? I go, yeah, I think I can. That looks pretty easy. But remember, these were symbols for something else. He wasn't looking at anything. He was using his imagination. Here are people and dog in front of the sun. Now this one, I wish Mr. Miro were alive today. He had a very nice long life. He looked to be, what, like 90 years old? But if he were alive today, I would ask him, please explain to me what's what in this picture. I'm not quite sure. And that's what's kind of fun about abstract art. We don't all have to agree. I think we can all agree that's the sun, right? And people and dog in front of the sun. Now this is one person with the head and the geometric body. Now what is this? Is this a person upside down? Their legs up in the air? Maybe they're in the park doing a handstand. Before you see the legs though, when you come down here, this looks like the tail of a dog. So is this the head of a dog instead? Or is this the dog over here? I don't know. And I don't know if I'll ever have the answer for that. And that's what's kind of fun about abstract art. We can all put our own idea, our own conclusion about it when we look at it. This poor man, another red sun by the way, this poor man has lost his head. It is floating in that black cloud. He's probably, his head's up there saying, wait a minute, get me back down to my body. His body is here, and his head's floating up here. He really played with his paint on this one. This is black paint that he dripped, and then, and not only that, but he added turpentine. Turpentine is what you use for cleaning brushes. At the end of the day of oil painting. You can't clean oil paint brushes with water. It absolutely would do nothing. You need a solvent like turpentine. So this is what gave it that mottled look, because he put dripped turpentine over the black paint. And then he dipped his, I'm going to come over here without the microphone, he dipped his thumb in black paint, and he started doing a lot of thumbprints right here, as you can see, in the painting. He played with his paint big time. Let me show you a photo. He could easily have done those lines with a brush, but he probably said, oh, it's so much more fun to use my finger, to create my shapes and everything. And he really got messy when he did this next painting. He dipped not just his thumb in the black paint, he dipped his entire hand in the black paint, because you're going to see several handprints in the next picture. Isn't that amazing? Here's one, and there. And you know what, boys and girls? I'm coming over here because I want to show you. Most of the time when we show you paintings, we've blown them up thanks to, the machine, the projector. So the actual painting is a lot smaller, but I really firmly believe this painting is this size, because think about it. I'm going to hold my hand up to this handprint. It's a little bit bigger than my fingers, but not much. He probably had larger hands than I did anyway. And so this is life size. For him to get all of these handprints in, unless he used like a 2-year-old child's handprint, and I'm sure he did, those were his own, this painting is probably this size. If you went to a museum, it would be that size. Okay, moving right along. Ladders across the blue sky. I love this painting. It doesn't really fit the other rules, but I drew it in anyway because I just love the shapes and the colors. As I said, he didn't always paint the same way. He was experimenting, but it was all surrealism. What does ladders across the blue sky mean? Who knows? Okay. I know. Here is colorful Mr. Rooster. I have a little bit of voice left. I need to have you listen so I can use it. I've been talking all day, thank you. I know. It's really funny. Of all the art I have shown all day long, this is the painting that's created the most reaction with all of you, from kindergarten all the way through 5th. It's really interesting. This is an ordinary chicken. It's abstract, of course. Turkey, I would call it a rooster. This is an ordinary farm animal. Even though it's abstract, we can still recognize that it is a rooster, a chicken, whatever you want to call it. However, in the next painting called The Tilled Field, you're going to see some very strange farm animals, certainly not your typical ones. To till the field is to take a plow and dig up the soil to get it ready for the spring planting. So in the one corner of the painting, you're going to see rows. That's the, the planting rows ready to, and that's why he learned to speak French very well.